Hello. Look, so I just made this beat. Well, I did it yesterday. I was like in a completely different fit and everything, but I looked back on the video and I was like, this isn't really how I want to do this. This isn't how I want to make these videos. Yes, I have a mic in my hand. Yes, this is what I'm gonna be doing. What I decided to do is, instead of that, I'm gonna just go over what I did in this beat. And like I'll go over each little section. I'll go over like each thing in the melody, explain why I did what I did, go over like the drums, why I decided to do everything. There was also something I did on the master with my master that you can get in my free drum kit, and I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was pretty useful. So yeah, I'm just gonna go over that. So the first thing I got right here is a pad from Alchemy, and it sounds like this. Absolutely gorgeous pad, right? And then the next thing I have here is a lead. This is the Theramax lead, just from Xenology. Most people that use Xenology just have this lead already. This is another pad from Xenology. That's what I added next. And I went into Triton and I got this thing. I think it's like kind of a pad. It might be a motion synth. I really don't remember. But it's there. Then I took some one shots. I just heard this while I was making the rest of that. It's just a little interesting texture. And then I had these vocal chops. I'm gonna actually combine these together so you can hear what they sound like. I mean, that's pretty cool. This is this and what the fuck? This and this pad are what mainly keep the rhythm in this beat, and that was one of the integral things that I looked at when I was making this beat. It was just like, how am I gonna keep the rhythm without keeping the hi-hats consistent? You know, like how am I gonna keep this two-step rhythm? This is the main part of it, and I keep both of these kind of in the back. I believe it's yeah, this one. You see how that's like very, very quiet as opposed to like this pad. They're both pretty quiet, but that's just because of the way I mixed it. And the next thing I added was this piano. I love Piano Tech. This is such a beautiful plugin. I have to actually change this so it sounds right. The sustain pedal doesn't stay down when you reload the project. Yeah, this is what I played on it. Just absolutely gorgeous melody. And then the last thing I added for the melody was these strings. So I will play them all together. One thing you might notice is like I kind of kept these all pretty spread out, like all the melodies. You see how they're just kind of like sporadic, like there's different sections to it. Like there's this part where it's pretty like open, besides for this lead, and then it leads into this next section that's a bit more busy. And the same follows with this hi-hat pattern that I'm going to show you in a second. It kind of goes from like, it's kind of the inverse, so it's like a little bit more busy, a little bit more going on in this section, and in this section there's a little bit less going on. It's a little bit more consistent. You can kind of just see, just based off of the MIDI, how it's a lot simpler in this section. So the next thing I added was the 808. This is just from the Cons kit. I literally took like all these drums from the Cons kit, I think. Literally every single one. It's a great kit. It's good for like actual trap drums. So this is the 808 pattern. You might kind of notice that this 808 is, you know, like longer than the rest of them. The rest of them are just in the generic ass 808 pattern. But the reason I did this is to kind of like emphasize that this section right here is a slower section. All of this is built around having, it's like 2 big sections and then 2 smaller sections inside those big sections. So the 8 bars are the bigger sections, and then inside there's 2 smaller sections of 4 bars that switch up as the beat continues. For the hi-hats, I started off with a slower pattern at the start, and then a little bit quicker, a little bit slower again but more busy, and then the quickest. That's again just to emphasize the different sections. I'm gonna play all the snares together just because I think it's kind of redundant to play them each separately. It's basically just that. I mean, there's not a lot of variation. It's pretty simple stuff. Then I added this Z chant. And then I have this this open hat playing in this pattern. And then this open hat as well. I had this one hitting on the clap just to make it hit a little bit harder. And then this is the last snare. It's just a fill at the end. And that's it. I mean, that's the entire thing. I'll go over what I did in the mixer, I guess, before I play the whole thing, and explain my arrangement. So one thing I did that's kind of notable is I put a very small reverb on both of these. Like, this is a melody bus, this is a drum bus, so all of these link to this one single mixer, and all of these link to this other mixer. It's just to make it so if I want to affect everything I can, it's simpler. For the drums, everything except the 808, I lowered the lows a little bit, and then I added this reverb. So what this does is it essentially glues everything together, you know, because if you were playing a drum set in like an actual studio, everything would have the same amount of reverb on it. Everything would have just a little bit of room reverb because you're playing in a room. Everything is gonna, you know, there's gonna be reverberations. So this is just to kind of emulate that and to kind of glue everything together. I did the same thing on the melody. It's not really as necessary. It doesn't really make too much of a difference, but like it's not gonna hurt if it's there. I also added this EQ on the entire melody. This is the thing that I commonly do. I just like to boost the super highs, lower the lows a little bit. I don't want to cut them out completely for this beat because the 808 isn't really going to be too loud. Like, it's going to be loud, but it's not going to be like clipping like crazy. So you don't really need to lower them all the way. It's just going to remove too much of the actual sound. These are just a bunch of... They're all pretty similar EQs. I mean, like, it's just kind of cleaning up the sound a little bit. And then what I did on the master that I hadn't really done too much before, I've just started doing it in the past week or so, is on this EQ right here. And this doesn't necessarily have to be with my master rack, but it applies to it. It makes it easier if you have it, just because it's right here. You click on it, you do it. What I did is I went into this little drop down menu. You aren't gonna be able to see it because I fucked up my OBS and I forgot how to change it back. But you go into frequency precision and you change it to low, and you go into time smoothing and you change it to slowest. And what that's gonna do is I will show you right here. So I'm gonna play it. You should be able to see a difference in these EQs. This one should be a bit slower. This one you'll see is a lot faster moving.
Shout out 50, nigga.
So even aside from just the obvious differences, like this one showing the low end, this one being cut off, you could see that like this is sticking around a lot longer. This is showing the history of the peaks. It's showing the averages. Well, maybe not even necessarily the averages. I guess that's a bad way to put it because it's not an average, but it's showing the peaks for longer. You're seeing the very, very high peaks for longer. So what I do is I have that, and then I will go in and look at the areas where it's super low. I'll boost it up. I'll go into the areas where it's super high, take it down a little bit. That's what I did here. I just took it down a tiny little bit. I also took down the low end a lot because this is one of the beats where the mix is going to be a lot cleaner if there's a little bit less low end, just because of how the 808 is structured. It's a little bit more like a kick. So I'm really accentuating that kick. I'm really lowering that bass because that bass is going to be there regardless. It's a super subby bass and it's a super like kicky bass. It's not like a grungy kind of 808. That was really like the main thing I did on this master though that was different. Besides that, I mean, I just did some normal stuff. I usually like to boost around here, around 11K, boost up around 170, 120-ish, just to accentuate the kick, accentuate the highs. I believe I also took up this, like just a tiny little bit. Like I like to kind of make a gentle slope up here, just because the highs are going to be the most important part of the mix in my opinion. Like it's pretty easy on a beat to have a good low end, but it's a lot harder to have a clean mix. Like I feel like I rarely ever see people with clean mixes in terms of high end. Like it's always the high end that's missing. Usually the bass is fine, but the high end is not there. And that was pretty much it. So I'm just gonna play the entire thing now. I do hope you enjoyed this though. I know this is a shorter video. Just comment below if you want to see like the actual process and everything still, or if you think this is better, if you think this is maybe more like to the point, you kind of get the lessons quicker. I'm down to do either. I just didn't think it would make sense to show the full process on some of it, because sometimes I'm just sitting there going back and forth, like trying to transpose the melody up and down, and like I'm going back and forth between the different melodies. I don't know how much sense it makes. Just let me know in the comments.
Shout out 50, nigga.
But yeah, if you like this video, you should like it. I would really appreciate that. If you really like this video, you should subscribe, because I'm gonna be making these videos more often. I know I said that before, and I know I stopped making videos for like but this time I don't even know if I'm being serious. I'm probably gonna be making videos though. This is kind of fun. So let me know if you like this format of video, you know, like where I'm going over what I did rather than what I'm doing. Okay, love you, bye.